Example number 2. We've got a triangle drawn. It's not a right triangle, so we can't do Pythagorean theorem. We can't do SOHCAHTOA. Okay? The thing I always want to try to do first is law of sines. In order to do law of sines, what do I need? I need something across from each other. I need to know an angle and a side across from each other. Do I know that here? No. Gabe, you have a question? Okay. I don't know anything across. I know this, 85, but I don't know C. I know 50, but I don't know A. I know beta, but I don't know 3. So then I'm in trouble. It's a angle side angle problem. It is. What's a cheat here, though? What can I do to make this? I can find the other angle really easily. The 3 angles are going to add up to 180. So you can think of it as 180 minus 50 minus 85. That will give you your missing angle. 45. Always try to do that first. If they give you 2 angles, the very first thing you should do is find the third one. Okay? That's really easy. Do that. So it's 45 degrees. Once I've done that, now I can do law of sines. I need to know 2 things across from each other. So Jalen, what 2 things do I know across from each other here? 45 and 3. Because I know those 2 things, I can solve for everything else. It's always sine. This is called law of sines. We're always going to do sine. So we can use the sine of 45 over 3 and use that to solve any other side. So what side do we want to solve for first? Let's solve for C. Okay? If we are solving for C, that means we're using these 2 numbers. So we're going to set that proportion equal to the sine of what number? Sine of the angle. It's always side of an angle. You cannot take sine of a side. Don't do that. Sine of 85 over C. Okay? We are cross-multiplying again. Be good at this. Look at me real quick. I'm going to do this shortcut from here on out. I'm not going to multiply it anymore. Okay? Or I'm not going to write it out. I'm going to do this every time. When I look at the cross-multiplication problem, you're going to find the 2 things across from each other that you know. What 2 things do we know that are across from each other? 3 and 85. I know those 2 things. So in my calculator, I'll always talk about it this way because it's easy. 3 times sine of 85. Multiply the 2 things you know across from each other. Okay? And then I'm going to divide by the thing I don't. The thing I don't know. So I know these 2. I'm going to divide by that sine of 45 once I get those 2 things together. Oh, I didn't hit divided by again. I did that last class too. 3 times sine of 45, and I'm going to divide that. Now see, I'm all over the place. 85 divided by sine of 45. There we go. 4.23 is going to be my answer. We took the 2 things that we knew, 3 and 85, and sine of 85, and multiplied them, and then divided by the one I didn't, which was sine of 45. Question, Gabe? Okay. There we go. There's our first one. Now set up and solve for the second one. So now you're doing the same number. You still know this pair. Sine of 45 over 3. What thing do I still have to solve for? A. So in order to solve for A, I need to know its buddy, and I do. It's 50. So I'm going to set up my proportion. Set it up and solve. So sine of 45 over 3. Then if I'm solving for A here, I'm going to take the sine of 50 over A. There's my setup. Okay, I'm technically doing cross-multiplying to solve this. So since I just got new students in the room, I'll write it out for them. So 3 times sine of 50 is equal to A times sine of 45. I'm doing cross-multiplying. So 3 times sine of 50 is equal to A times sine of 45. Lily, I'm trying to get A by itself. Is it by itself right now? What do I need to do to get it by itself? So divide both sides by sine of 45. That will get me my final answer. Take the 2 things that you know, the 3 and the 50, and multiply them together and divide by the one you don't know, the sine of 45. So in my calculator, I'll take 3 times sine of 50 and then divide that by the sine of 45. You want to be in degrees always. Okay, my answer here for A is 3.25.